Hey, it's Chrissy and welcome back to my channel. What I like to do is towards the end of the week, I like to look in the freezer and in the fridge and see what I have, what produce I have that is wrapping up and I need to cook with it before it goes bad. What meats do I have? I would say for 2021, I'm trying my best to be more frugal, more cost effective, and try to pull from the freezer and the fridge and pantry as much as possible before going to the store. So all of these things I had in my fridge or freezer already. So what I'm going to do is some Mexican stuffed bell peppers. I'm super excited about this recipe. It's going to be such a nice keto recipe that I would suggest you make a staple. So what you'll see here is I have a taco seasoning blend, some cheese, I have sour cream, and some bell pepper, which I'm gonna cut in half. I thought it'd be a nice twist to try a combination of ground pork. And as you see in the front, I have a little bit of ground beef that I used yesterday, but I had a little bit left over. And so what I wanna do is I'll mix those meats together, create the sauce blend, stuff the bell peppers, and then we're gonna bake them. And so I'll get started and I'll show you as I go along. But I'm excited about this dish, so I hope you test it out and let me know what you think. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I've already added some nonstick spray to the skillet, and I'm gonna go ahead and start browning my meats. And so as I mentioned, I have some ground pork and I have some beef. And so I'm gonna get that in there and go ahead and cook that up. And when I do my ground beef, I like to use this little device. Some people call it a spatulator, but it definitely works really good when you're cooking ground meat and you want to get everything broken down into smaller chunks as you're cooking it. So first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and start cooking down the meat. And now I'm going to add my beef also. So as I mentioned, I just have a little bit of ground beef. But I think the mixture of both of those is going to add a really nice flavor. And so I'm going to go ahead and get that mixed as well with the ground pork. And I'm going to cook this down and then I'll be back to show you the next step soon. But I'll go ahead and cook this down. So I've drained most of the oil off of the meat and I put it back in the skillet with a little bit of nonstick spray just to make sure it doesn't stick too much. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add my taco seasoning, and I want to try to build the flavors that I'm going to use to stuff into the bell pepper. So I'm going to use, like I mentioned, I'll use this packaged taco seasoning. Feel free to make your own taco seasoning, but it's so low in carb, I don't really worry about this blend. When you think about the number of servings that you're gonna have, it's pretty minimal for me. And so now I'm just going to mix this all together, and I'm going to add a little bit of cooling water. So I'm adding close to about a third cup of water to the mix. And I'll get that all going together. And pretty much when you make these stuffed peppers, you can make them any way. You can stuff whatever you want. Say, for instance, you want a vegetarian kind of stuffed dish, you can do that too. Maybe add, make a cauliflower kind of mixture. You can even add beans, black beans and corn. You can do so much with this. You can add ground turkey, ground chicken. If you don't like pork, there's so many variations that you could do with these stuffed peppers. You can make it Italian, you can make it a Greek stuffed pepper, you can make it a Mexican stuffed pepper. So just have fun with it. It's pretty much your dish, your palate. So paint on it whatever you want, it's yours. That's the fun part about cooking, it's whatever flavors you like. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of pepper just to give it a little kick. A little bit of flavor there. Okay. So now we'll get that going. And with these packages, I try to be careful, and I don't really have to add any salt because, as you can see, sometimes these prepackaged mixes do have, enough salt in it. And we're going to add cheese as well, so I don't really have to add any salt to it at all. And so what I like to do is just, taste the meat, see if I like the flavor. Sometimes I'll add other spices depending on what I think. I really like the taste of the blend of the beef and the pork. It's really nice. And so this is actually exactly what I want. I'm going to now begin to build my flavor. So we have the Mexican seasoning in there. We have some pepper. And now this recipe calls for salsa. So I'm going to add some, I think I got this at Trader Joe's. So this is chunky salsa. I'm going to add, if I can open this. Hold on a second. I'm going to have to do the old trick of beating the cap until it opens. So I'm sure everybody knows this. So sometimes when I can't open a jar and it's too tight, I just beat it with a knife. And for some reason, the pressure just releases. Ta-da! Your tip of the day. So now I'm going to start with a 1/3 cup of salsa. What I like about the salsa is I didn't have to add any extra onion to the dish because the salsa has so much variation of items like, onion and peppers. My husband is not a big fan of onion, but he'll eat it hidden in salsa. So we'll add actually 2 cups of this. So I add it and just eyeball it. Once you get it in there and you start stirring it and you feel like you need more, just add more. So let me get that going here. And all those remnants at the bottom, they're actually good flavoring for your dish. And so got that in there. Turn this down just a little bit. And I didn't want it to be too runny because when I put it in the bell pepper, I don't want it to be too runny. So I could have added more water to make it a little less, but I didn't want to have it runny when I'm actually adding it to the bell pepper. So I'm a little mindful of adding more water. And so this is exactly what I want. I want the sauce to be pretty thick. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one of my favorite things is some sour cream. And so this is about 1/2 cup of sour cream. And depending on how it looks and how it tastes, I might add a little bit more. Since these are all, since this is a keto dish, the fat and the fat is actually good. And so what you'll see is almost everything that I'm adding here is very, very, very low in carb. The meat for sure is no carb. But then when you get to your salsa and things of that nature, that's where you're pretty much getting your carbs from this dish. But again, it's so low in carbs, so minimal, that it's a really great keto low carb meal. See, as you can see, this is the color I'm looking for. I'm going to turn the heat back up a little bit now that it's kind of cooled down just a little. And I'm going to add just a little bit more sour cream. Just a little bit, not a whole lot. So maybe it's just another tablespoon of sour cream. Get that mixed up. Oh my gosh, if you could smell this, what they say, smell-o-vision. This right here, I could just put this in a bowl and just eat it with a nice cold Diet Coke. I know it's bad. I hate that I still drink Diet Coke, but I do. All right, so this is awesome. So then again, as I'm building my flavors, I'm layering in the ingredients. I like to stop, taste, and then see if what else I need to do to enhance the flavors. So now I'm going to give it a quick taste, and then I'm going to add the cheese as the last ingredient. I'm going to see. That is so good. And now I have a blend of whole wheat, Monterey Jack cheese. And in this bowl, I think I have 2 cups. So I'm going to save some for the tops of the, when I stuff the bell pepper. I'm also going to add cheese on top of it. But would you look at this? Oh my goodness, it is so full of flavor. And the salsa, it just kicks it up another notch. This is amazing. So what I'm gonna do now is, now that I've added the cheese, I've turned the heat off, and now I'm just gonna let everything sit here and just kind of let the cheese melt through, and it just kind of do its thing, and then I'm gonna work on the bell pepper some more. But just wanted you to see that. Look how amazing. You could actually make you like take a low carb tortilla, and I've done that before in one of my recipes on the channel. Cut it up, put it in the air fryer, and make your own low carb tortilla chips, or the Quest tortilla chips. Use this as a dip. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. Okay, so now I got distracted. Another recipe idea coming up. So now I'm gonna work on my bell pepper. So as my meat is cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and start working on my bell pepper. So since I'm gonna be stuffing the bell pepper, I pretty much am going to have to cut this bad boy in half. So what I'd like to do first is just start with the cap. So what I'm gonna do is just cut this top part off so I can work with the bell pepper. And that's my handy dandy garbage bowl as you're cooking. Always have a garbage bowl so you can just toss everything in there and keep it neat. And so since I'm gonna just lay them flat, I'm gonna go ahead and just cut it down the middle. Now, you could do this many ways, but for me, this is the easiest way to do it. And then as I'm doing this, I'm just basically clearing out the inside. And so I have a cavity to stuff my bell pepper. So there we go. Pretty good. And what I'll do is I'll just rinse it out too. But this is pretty much what you're looking for. You're looking for a cavity to be able to stuff the meat inside the bell pepper. And so same thing with this one. I just kind of clear it out really well just so the meat and the cheese that I'm going to put on the inside can sit in there really nicely. So pretty much this is what we're looking at. So I'm going to do that for all of the bell peppers and I'll come back. Okay, so this is a quick step or a shortcut that I like to do to make sure that the bell pepper is cooked. And so what you'll notice is all of the meat and the inside that I'm going to stuff it with is already cooked. And so in order to make sure that when I bake everything together, the bell pepper is not crunchy, I'm gonna take this. So what I've done is I've cleared out everything on the inside. I've cut it in half. I sprayed this dish with a little bit of nonstick spray. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put it in the microwave for about 6 minutes. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna make sure that the bell pepper is not crunchy. And so then I can put all the filling on the inside that's already cooked, layer it with cheese, and bake it just for like about 10-15 minutes, and it's done. And so just, if you like your bell pepper crunchy, then you could omit this step. But for me, I like to make sure when I cut into it, it's not crunchy. I want it to be a little bit al dente or I want it to be more cooked than not. So I'm gonna pop this in the microwave for about 6 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and start stuffing it and bake it. Almost done. So this is fantastic. So we're at the last part of this recipe. I microwaved the bell pepper for 6 minutes and they're perfect. They move, they're pliable, just the way I like them. Again, if you don't want to do that step and you want your bell pepper a little bit crunchy, then omit that step. The meat is nice and flavorful, and then we have the cheese. So now the next step is easy. We're just actually gonna just start stuffing the bell pepper. So you're gonna take your meat, take a spoon, and you're just gonna stuff that meat into the cavity of the bell pepper. You can go as heavy or as light on the meat as you want. I like mine a little bit overflowing. And then I'm going to speed through this and just go ahead and finish stuffing the bell pepper. Okay, that was perfect. So it was just enough meat, and I have a little bit more meat left too in the skillet, but I'm gonna use that for something else later today. But this is pretty much how it's looking. I'm gonna get just a little bit more for that one bell pepper. It's looking a little bit low to me. So I just wanna make sure, because that cavity is pretty deep, that there's enough filling for each of these guys. And so now all I do is sprinkle a little bit more. Like I said, I had extra meat left over. I'm going to add just a little bit more here, because this is meant to be one half of these is really meant to be a nice meal. You can have a side salad with it, and it'll be perfect. So as you see, everything is stuffed, and now I'm just going to take the cheese, sprinkle it. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so good. So we're going to add some cheese over the top of each of those bell peppers. And then if you want, you can make like a nice cauliflower or Spanish cauliflower dish, or something cauliflower rice if you want to just keep it all low carb. There's so many options for this. But I think I might try to make a Spanish kind of cauliflower rice. I think that'd be really, really nice with this dish. And that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the oven in so I set the oven for 425, and really all I'm doing is just giving the cheese a chance to melt. And so I'm going to put this in the oven. I'm going to set it for I'd say 15 minutes to make sure everything is nice and baked and golden. And then I'll show you what it looks like at the end. Okay, so I just have to stand back and look at these stuffed Mexican bell peppers. They look amazing. Look at the caramelization of the cheese and how ooey and gooey it looks. I'm almost, my words aren't really, they're getting all tongue-tied and twisted because I'm ready to dive in. And so I set the timer for 14 minutes. So I put it in the oven at 425 for 14 minutes. And in actuality, you only really have to bake them, or I only had to bake them for about 11 minutes actually. And so it's up to you, your preference. If you want them darker or more golden, bake them longer. If you want them less golden, bake it shorter. So just keep an eye on them. But I just have to say, I'm so excited about this dish. All of the flavors together, the meat with the sour cream and the salsa and the taco seasoning, everything, sour cream, everything just came out. The flavors just gelled together, and it's an amazing dish. So give this a try and let me know what you think. And if you have some other ideas on different stuffings or mixtures that you can use that you have used to stuff your bell pepper, let me know, because I'd love to give them a try. Okay, so that's it for today. Talk to you soon. Bye.